Okay, I have to begin this video by issuing an apology. Last video I had a little segment where I was going on about Indiana basketball and Indiana basketball history and mythology and lore, and I'm mentioning all these people associated with Indiana and Indiana basketball. And Derek Harris 223 called me out. And he said, how does this content creator not mention Bob Knight when speaking about Indiana basketball? And I saw this comment and I almost fell off my chair. I cannot believe that I forgot to mention the great Bobby Knight when speaking about Indiana basketball. I deeply apologize. Shout out to Bobby Knight, truly on the Mount Rushmore of Indiana basketball. Thank you, Drums of Burke, for further calling me out and saying living up to the name of the channel. Jokes aside, is a great video. Thank you, Drums of Burke. That is a reason why I named this channel Dumb NBA Fan, because look, I don't pretend to be some expert on all this stuff. I'm no Kendrick Perkins, and sometimes I'll forget something or I'll not mention something, and I can always be like, well, you see the name of this channel. Thank you, Derek Harris 223, for calling me out. I threw a chair right out my window in honor of Bobby Knight. The cops came. I explained to them the situation. They understood. And they even said, like, how could you forget to mention Bobby Knight when talking about Indiana basketball? And I said, I know, that's why I threw a chair out my window. Okay, there you go. So there's my minute-and-a-half apology. Sorry, Bobby Knight. I'll go run laps for you. And let's get to the video. Okay, so this video is probably going to be more of a long-winded stream of conscious kind of video. Sometimes I do those. Sometimes, like the last video, that's more funny, short, entertaining. Sometimes I like doing just like a longer stream of conscious video. And with everything that transpired in that game, especially when it comes to what happened to Tyrese, I just want to talk. So, oh man, I feel so bad for Tyrese Haliburton, man, and that whole Pacers team and what happened to him. Look, I'm not going to put any highlights. We've seen it. Him on the floor like that, and you could just see on his face just the pain and the anguish, and it was especially brutal when the trainer came over to him. And the trainer must have asked him, did you feel anything pop? You can see Tyrese going, and it did. Something like that. There were so many times in that game, even like I got emotional. Seeing that, every time they'd play the friggin' replay over and over again, then you see his dad putting his head in his hands. He's getting walked to the locker room on one leg with the towels all over him. It sucks that we have to talk about this because, God, he started off the game so great. I mean, 3 for 4 from 3, just hitting absolute bombs. And you know when Tyrese, when he comes out firing like that and he's engaged offensively from the get-go, that's a problem for other teams. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think the Pacers have some really good record. Whenever he scores more than 20 points and 10 assists, I think they're like 20-1 or something like that. And it just sucks because we might have had an all-time great game on our hands if that didn't happen. But to get back to this Achilles injury, man, you know, I wonder. I mean, it has to be related somehow to this calf strain he's been dealing with. And I've talked about this in a different video recently, that calf strains are weird, man. It's a weird injury. And there's a reason sometimes you see players get a calf strain and they'll be out 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And if it was the regular season and Tyrese Haliburton had this injury, he probably wouldn't have been playing for 2 weeks or a month. But he kept on playing on it because, you know, it's the finals and you got to do what you got to do. But in game, 6, he seemed fine. Didn't seem limping. He had a solid game. Only had to, I think he had 14 points in 23 minutes. When I strained my calf playing basketball January 2024, what I learned with these calf strains, man, is that it's hard to tell when it's better. I re-aggravated it 3 weeks in a row, and it ended up being a thorn in my side for a month. And I remember it really taught me how connected all this stuff is, because sometimes I would re-aggravate it and I was like, why is my Achilles hurt? Or why does my hamstring hurt when the injury is in my calf? And there was like 4 different spots in my leg throughout this injury when I would re-aggravate it that it would hurt, even though the injury was concentrated in my calf. But it really taught me how interconnected all that stuff is. So you wonder, like, this calf strain probably directly impacted his Achilles because there's just You know, when you're playing that hard and that long and that often through an injury, it could snowball into a bigger thing. And that opens a whole debate, like, should Tyrese have been playing? Should he have not been playing? Because if he didn't play, they still would have lost, but at least you would have had him for next season. And now he played when he probably shouldn't have been playing, even though Game 6 was good. But now look at what happens, and now they're without him for a year, a whole season. You know, it opens this whole debate. Man, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not really sure. It's a tough debate. And then the other crazy thing, as I'm sure you guys have seen, is this weird, creepy coincidence of Dame, Tatum, and Haliburton all tearing their Achilles this postseason, and all three of them wear number 0. What are the odds of that? That freaks me out. I wonder, with these injuries that some of these players are getting, man, are they training the right way? They have all these fancy equipment and fancy trainers and all this stuff, and I'm like, why are these injuries so prevalent? Is it too many games combined with the style of play these days, with everything being so fast and so intense and so explosive compared to years in the past? Are they training wrong? Are they resting too much, resting not enough? Are they training the wrong way? Any hoopers out there, I highly recommend watching Knees Over Toes Guy. I have implemented a lot of his workouts into my workouts, especially to strengthen my knees, my hamstrings, Achilles, all that stuff. And specifically for Achilles, if any of you guys have had Achilles issues, it's like a calf raise, but your knee is kind of like bent. So instead of doing a calf raise, it targets your Achilles more. And I wonder, like, I'm like, do these NBA players do this kind of stuff? I don't know. But if I was a trainer, I would have them doing so much injury prevention stuff and doing all kinds of exercises to really strengthen your ligaments and your tendons in your Achilles and your ankles and your knees and your hamstrings and all of the places where basketball injuries are very common. And I would have all my guys doing yoga. That's another thing. Any of you guys that watch this channel, if you're hoopers, man, I'm telling you, do yoga, man. I'm telling you. I started doing yoga when I was dealing with this calf injury last year, early 2024. I had tendonitis in my shoulder, and I said, man, I got to start injury-proofing myself better. And I started doing the Knees Over Toes Guy workouts, and I started doing yoga. I do yoga 4 or 5 days a week, like 15, 20 minutes a day. I'm telling you, it's made me feel 10 years younger. You're more mobile, you sleep better, you feel better, you move better. For the meditation aspect, it's so great. I can't recommend it enough. Everyone should do yoga, but especially athletes. I'm pretty sure Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said he was able to play as long as he played because he got into yoga, and he played until he was like 41. So do yoga, guys, I'm telling you. Okay, so let's talk about the game a little bit. The start of that game was so fun, and right away, pretty early on, I was like, okay, we got a game on our hands. The Pacers are bringing it. Haliburton is coming out aggressive. 3 for 4 from 3. Guys hitting absolute bombs. Hallie gets hurt. Our hearts all break. What's the psychological effect that this is going to have on each team? Because things can go different ways here. So as far as the Pacers go, I thought to myself, okay, this could just completely take the wind out of the sails of the Pacers. Or it's going to piss them off even more and make them even hungrier and just play like a wounded animal and play even better. And they did until halftime. They played really, really well the rest of that half, and they had so much fight in them still, and they were up 1 going into halftime. Truly, truly impressive. And with the Thunder, their 2 directions that they could have went after Haliburton got hurt is, okay, their best player got hurt. Now we can relax a little bit, and we think that we're going to cruise to an easy victory. Not a good idea to do against this crazy Pacers team. Or their reaction could be, okay, Hallie got hurt. We smell blood in the water. We smell weakness. Now it's our time to pounce and close this thing out, which they didn't do in the second quarter, but they definitely did in the third quarter. And the Pacers really played a much better first half. Like I said, Haliburton only played 7 minutes, and they were still winning at halftime despite that. And OKC, man, they just were not in their groove not in a rhythm in that first half. They were only shooting 22% from three. Another game where they struggled from three. I think they only ended up shooting like 27, 28% from three that game. But they did get a much higher volume than they usually do. I think they shot 43 pointers, but still only shot 27, 28%. And I talked about this before. I wonder if in the offseason the Thunder are going to try to get a knockdown three-point shooter to add to their roster, just to have your Sam Hauser type or your Duncan Robinson type, just to have on their roster to maybe throw in there 15 or so minutes each game. And another thing I noticed was that you were not getting anywhere near enough out of Chet and Jalen Williams by halftime. Each of them only had 5 points. After Shea, Chet and Jalen are the guys. They're the guys on the commercials. They're the guys on the posters. Jalen's an all-star. Those guys needed to step up and close this thing out. And man, they really brought it in that second half. Jalen was great. And of course, Chet with some really, really good defense, man. And I knew when Lou Dort hit that absolutely insane Hail Mary, I wrote in my notes, yeah, Thunder are going to win this game. And that's when the turnovers really started hurting the Pacers. There was a long period of time where they didn't score. I think they went over 10 minutes where no one on the team scored but TJ McConnell. And of course, gotta shout out TJ McConnell. The guy was absolutely amazing. Scored 12 straight points in the third quarter, absolutely terrorizing that team. The problem was they were just getting absolutely killed with the turnovers. Oh my God. I think despite TJ having 12 straight points that quarter, I think the Pacers lost 18-0 off points off turnovers in that quarter alone. TJ also had some turnover problems. I think he had 7 turnovers. Look, man, that is a testament to that Oklahoma City defense. I mean, arguably the greatest defense of all time. Is that safe to say? Their defense is just frightening to deal with. And that third quarter was really kind of the nail in the coffin. They lost that third quarter 34-20. Despite all that, this Pacers team, they did not give up. They just kept fighting, and they were like those damn Spartans, man. Like in 300, when the Spartans know they're going to die. What is that, the Battle of Thermopylae, where there's like 300 of them going up against like the big bad Persian Empire or whatever, and they know they're going to die in battle, and they just don't care, and they don't give up. They were down 22, and then decide to do a full court press, go on an 11-1 run, bring it down to 10 with 2 minutes left. Wasn't enough. A valiant effort nonetheless. 21 turnovers. Thunder only had 7. Thunder had 14 steals. Pacers had 6. Yeah, OKC, better team on paper, more talented, all that stuff, but the heart that this Pacers team showed, and I'm so proud of the Thunder too, because this team was a long time in the making. This has been a build going back to the Paul George days when they got Shea from the Clippers and all that stuff, and getting Hartenstein and Caruso really was the icing on the cake. Last season, I thought to myself, I'm like, man, like they really need just something like more physical. They need that tough physicality. Lou Dort is very physical, but he's only 6'4", and then you get Caruso and Hartenstein, and that was that, man. That was the icing on the cake that really made that team a championship caliber team. Okay, that's it. This video is way too long. I'm sorry it wasn't fun and entertaining like the previous video. The way things went down with Tyrese and all that, I don't know. I'm just not really in the mood for fun. Shout out to both teams, man. I feel so bad for the Pacers and Tyrese, and I wish he was healthy that game, and we could have saw what would have transpired in that Game 7. That Pacers team, so much heart, so much respect for those guys, and this Thunder team, just a hell of a team. To be the second youngest team ever to win a championship, and they seem like a great bunch of dudes, very professional organization, great coach. Sam Presti seems like he's a wizard at this stuff. Great fan base, awesome NBA Finals. 7 games. I don't think any of us were expecting this good of an NBA Finals. And this whole playoffs, man, was just so fun. So many fun moments. I definitely want to try to keep on making videos this offseason. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things to talk about. I want to talk about this Durant trade. I want to talk about the Desmond Bane trade. I might even start doing some basketball workouts when I do my own basketball workouts. So I have some ideas. Maybe I'll hit 1,000 subscribers soon, and I can start shoving sports betting down your throat. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that.